The purpose of this interview is to hear your stories of growing up and living in and around Star. It's your story to tell. My role in this is just to ask questions to help you tell the story. We may talk for up to an hour, but you can stop whenever you want to. And at the end, I'll give you a chance. If there's something we've missed or something you think it's important to share, we'll give you an opportunity to add that at the end. Okay?
Okay.
If I could start by asking you, each of you, to introduce yourself, when you were born, where you were born, and how long did you live in Star, or when did you arrive in Star?
Okay.
You go first or me?
Go ahead. Doesn't matter.
Either one.
Okay, I'm Betha.
Hold
Goodwin.
on a second. One more time. Sorry.
Okay.
But you can look at Dean the whole time. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm Betha Goodwin Foster. I was born in Torrington, Wyoming, 1937. Come to Idaho when I was 6, I guess, just about 6. And married Jack in 1955. Graduated from Meridian High School, back when it was one high school. Okay.
Jack?
Okay, I'm Jack Foster. You probably can't hear me, my voice. But anyway.
Sorry, one more time. You're good. One more time.
One more time.
Okay, I'm Jack Foster. And I was born in Cape Fear, Missouri, actually out in the country, wasn't in the town. But and I keep telling my kids that I want on my obituary that I was born in a log cabin, which I was. But anyhow, I was born back there, and we moved to Idaho when I was 11. And we moved into Eagle. And lived around Eagle then for a few years, and till the folks went back to Missouri when I was a junior in high school. And I didn't go, I stayed here. And we got married. We moved to Star in, I think, 61, wasn't it?
About 61.
1961. And we lived there for a couple of years, and I was going back to school in Ohio. And we ended up selling the place over back there. And when we moved back, we moved, and the Boise was there off and on for a few years, and then we bought the place out on Highway 44 west of Star. We bought that place in 69. And we lived there till 2005 when we moved out, sold that place, and moved here.
Okay, do you have siblings? Do you have brothers and sisters?
I had 2 brothers. They're not living now. Jack had...
I had 2 brothers and 3 sisters. We have 1 sister living now.
Did you, were they around? You said your family moved back to Missouri. Did they stay here as well? Or?
No, they moved back to Missouri also. And my little brother moved back out here. I don't remember when it was now, in the 80s, I guess. He moved back out here, and my sister moved back along about that time, just maybe a little after that. One sister did. The others never did move back here.
So, Betha, can you tell me about your parents and the life you had when you were in Star and in Meridian?
In Meridian. Of course, I was born in my grandmother's homestead in Wyoming. She had a homestead there, and that's where I was born. And my folks, we moved to Meridian in 1943. And with my brothers at that time, they were older than I. But, and like I said, went there all through school, all grades in high school there. And my brothers went their separate ways. One in Meridian, did find in Meridian, the other one lived in Idaho Falls. And my father and mother lived until my father was in his late 80s, my mother was in the 90s. So we definitely hooked in Meridian there quite a bit. He knew all the farm ground around. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what else.
Well, no, that's fine. And Jack, I'm curious, with your family moving back to Missouri, who did you stay with here?
I had an uncle
Oh, okay.
And I lived with my uncle until I got out of high school.
Then he moved away, and you had to be on your own.
Yeah.
So, what when you were living in Star, and you've had some interesting moves in and out, whereabouts did you live?
We lived on First Street, just west of Star Road, on First Street. We bought that house from Jim and Mary, from Mary Koski.
Oh, okay.
Her first husband, Jim. We bought that place from them. And then when we sold that place, well, of course, we had to find a place to live. We lived like 5 places in 2 years. Kids went to 5 different schools in 2 years. But anyway, we lived there, and then after we sold that place, when we moved back to the farm on Highway 44, we stayed there then until we moved out here.
Okay, and this was, when you talk the houses you bought in Star, that's where you lived together?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
make sure I understand the timeline on that. So you were there in the 60s.
60s.
Can you describe what the town looked like to you then, what your impressions were?
Well, the Star Merc was different, of course. We went in through the front door, and they sold appliances and all this different type. It was a regular old mercantile, I guess you'd call it. And most of us all did shop there. That was a good local place, and we knew all the Kirtleys that owned it, and it didn't have that much to do with them as Jack does when he went to, he knows the boys now, it'd be the next generation, much better. And the old post office, we got there when they built the new one behind the Star Merc now, which is some other building. I don't know what's in there anymore, but I could walk to the post office, and you walked around anywhere. You could let your kids go and do. You weren't afraid of things then, because our children were quite small then. So, and our oldest one, they had a kindergarten out at the Jess Berry farm, which was about 1.5 miles west of Star, and I'd have to drive her out there to kindergarten. The next year, they went in town at the Star Friends Church. They had a kindergarten there before it ever went public. And so we were there. The service stations, Jack, and he knows more about the service stations and the fire department, because he was a volunteer fire department at that time.
And where the Star Merc's gas pumps are right now, that was a Chevron service station. And it was owned by Guy Ross, Eldon Ross and Guy Marcus owned the place. And anyway, they were there for years. And the fire station were just directly across the street from there, and it was a volunteer fire department. And they finally built a meeting room at the end of off the side of the fire station, and I guess that's about all I know about the fire department, other than later on they finally built the big fire station, and I thought at the time, my goodness, they don't need that big a place, But it turned out they needed it. But
What did you, Jack, what did you do for a living when you were first there in Star?
Well, when we first moved to Star, I worked in town. I worked in Boise.
Okay.
I worked for NCR, National Casualty Company, and that's why I was going back to Ohio to school.
Okay.
Going back to school for them. And then after I quit NCR, I quit them in 77. I decided I'd worked down long enough, and so I started farming, and then later on I worked for the ditch companies and farmed also until we moved out here.
So, Betha, did you work outside of the home?
No, I'd have different jobs, maybe a year here and there, but I wasn't steady at anywhere.
No, what kind of work did you do, though?
I worked in a kitchen store and I don't know, several. I was
as a meter maid.
Meter maid in downtown Boise. I did that for a year, and then I became secretary for the ditch company. I was secretary for 3 ditch companies. Pioneer Ditch Company, which Jack was, you'll ask him, ditch writer there for 20-some years, and then I was secretary for Canyon County Water and Pioneer Ditch Company.
And Flake Ditch.
Flake Ditch, yeah, 3 ditches. Pioneer, Canyon County, and Flake.
So, Jack, since we're talking about working as a ditch rider, what kind of area did you cover doing that work?
Well, for Canyon County Ditch, the water comes out of the river right there at the Star Bridge, and it runs to Canyon Hill, the road Canyon Hill on the west end of Middleton. So they're just all the laterals that come down through there, everything basically on the south side of the road and north of the river. That's Canyon County water. And then the Little Pioneer comes out at just west of Linder, comes out of the river, just west of Linder, and it runs to basically the Star Road.
And you covered all that area?
Yes.
Wow, that's a lot of territory. I imagine you saw an awful lot of changes in the area.
Oh, yeah. We used to didn't worry too much about it because most of the farmers, they'd take care of the ditch work, went through their place, but that doesn't happen anymore.
Plus, a lot of the farms are gone now.
They're gone.
Yeah.
So then now you got the subdivisions, and they don't, all they know is give me my water. They don't.
But I was thinking of the development when you first started doing that. Was the cheese factory out off of Franklin there?
Originally, no, the cheese factory wasn't there.
But I mean, that's one big thing that got developed out
Yeah,
there.
of course, that's up north.
Oh, okay.
Or south. That's south of the river, and we were only everything north of the river.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got my geography messed up there. So, what did you do for social activities in Star? Individually or
Individually.
as a couple?
Fireman's dance.
With a lot of dances?
No, just they
But it
have-
was local. If they had the Basque used to have the big dances there in school, but they of course quit that quite a few. We used to go to those. Just whatever group of people could go, whatever we did was fun, and played cards, pinochle card. A bunch of us would get together with that when we lived in town, with the people he worked with when he was working in town. And after we moved to the farm, he was too busy farming. We didn't do a whole lot then, because he had his ditch stuff to do besides the farming that he did. And he rented ground, and there's now in subdivisions. And I see across this road from where we were, they're going to build a senior citizen home, care facilities.
What did your kids do? Besides go to school?
Go to school, yeah. They had to go to school in Middleton because we were just barely into Canyon County. And we have one daughter that is retired in school district. She lives in Oregon. Daughter lives at home. She's just retired from teaching school of 33 years. Daughter outside of town is still working. And our son lives in Pocatello.
So I mean, but what activities were available to them? Or
Well, they were
things
both
involved in?
they're involved in 4-H. They showed cows and they showed horses, sheep. They had all 3 of them they showed. And the one daughter rode in the bareback riding club, and a daughter that did the barrel racing and all that involves a rodeo. And they used to ride behind where they can't ride anymore. There's all homes back behind in the foothills. And they would take off in the mornings, and I'd see them in the evenings when they got home. They knew they'd be home by the sunset, but they don't have that facilities now because there are so many homes. As we all know, the Star is growing, so that type of ability to race, you have to ride your horses in the corral or something like that. There isn't. Can't go out and ride like they used to.
Well, with kids involved in 4-H and rodeo, I'm sure that kept the two of you busy as well.
It kept me busy. I pulled him. He was too busy farming. Like I said, he couldn't go to these places, and so we'd load up the trailer, and kids load their animals up, and I'd take them off, and that was our life, was the kids and their activities, and they were played in sports. All of them played in sports there in Middleton, because we were across the line. We couldn't go into Star. They went to first grade in Star, but that's when we lived in town.
What for you as a couple and maybe as a family with your kids, what are your favorite memories living in the area? Work.
Yeah, well, and of course Jack being with the farming and with Ditch Rider, he met so many people and he's seen so many changes that the big farmers that were where the Heron River subdivision is, he knew the owners of that prior to it becoming a subdivision, and of course because of his being a Ditch Rider, he did meet more, and I think our memories are just the memories what we had going out and helping him in the farm if we needed to, and going with the kids with their games, and we were just busy.
Jack, I should ask you, you were farming. What were you farming? What kind of crops did you raise?
We raised corn and grain and mint and cows and
Sugar beets.
sugar beets and a little bit of everything.
The kids also do work on the farm?
Did the kids work on the farm? Oh, absolutely.
Are there any memories of living in the area that are difficult things, or maybe I'll rephrase that.
Yeah.
You've seen a lot of changes. Obviously, you mentioned the subdivisions and the farms going away. What are your impressions on the changes? What kind of
Well, I can see a lot of changes. We lived there. I've got video of the neighbor kids riding their four-wheelers down the middle of the road, and showing how they could rear up on it. And, well, you couldn't do that kind of thing. And then we'd rented places. We run the cows, and we'd have to move them down the highway, and that, which you couldn't begin to get out. You can't even drive out of your driveway now, but that's just the changes. That's some of the changes we've seen, good or bad, Mm-hmm. We think it's bad, but then in other ways, I suppose it's good. But
are there any changes that happened with the area that you were glad to see or you were excited about? New businesses coming in? Or
no, not really. I think, you're always glad to see, have guys start a big store like Albertsons has come in there and not that I utilize them, but it is easier for people. You don't have to drive as far if you don't want to. The schools, I can't say I like where they have to go to high school. Some of these type of things aren't as good as they were back when I remember. I don't know what stores is in there now. Right on the highway is there's a little antique shop there in that building. I'm not sure what's all in there now. But I remember in about the 7th grade from Birdie, and we came over and the girls played basketball in that little building. And they had auctions in there. We used to go down to the auctions on Saturday nights to see different things.
I think that somebody else described that. Could that have been the old Star Gym?
Yeah,
It was.
that's what it was.
That's what it is. Okay.
But I can remember doing that because I thought, gee, these ceilings are so low compared to what we had. So, just...
Besides 4-H, were you involved in any other organizations, activities, scouts, or PTA, or
No.
anything like that?
Really?
that,
Is there anything you miss from the changes that have happened in Star?
Oh, you miss your neighbors. You do. You've had some good neighbors over the years, and they've either moved away, places get bought out, and everybody changes. So that's some of the things. And you like going to the store. You used to like to go down into the store, which had been the Star Merc, And you'd always meet somebody that you knew in there. Now you really don't. And I kind of miss that, seeing people.
Jack, you mentioned too that one of the reasons you bought the home here is so that you wouldn't get the view out the back would not change. You'd have something to look at. I'm assuming that was one of the things that changed when you left the farm. Things had changed there, and so you were looking for that.
Well, we left the farm because, of course, we was trying to scrape a living out of it, and it's pretty tough. But anyway, they come along and offered us more money than it's worth. So we just sold the thing and moved out. But when we were looking for something else, we had to find something that was all on one level, which this is, and I didn't want it to be in a subdivision that you couldn't see out the back window, But
So, and you found that here?
oh, we're in good
What you
shape
look-
here.
Yeah. We were lucky on that.
And you've mentioned other people. Do you still stay in touch with the people you were friends with there? You mentioned Mary.
Mary, yeah, because her husband, the first husband, he died. Jack worked with him, so we were acquainted with them back in early 50s, or later 50s, I guess, be the 60s. But so we've always kept in contact with Mary, and there's a few people in Star we do. And then when we moved to the farm, we had the farm friends, and we're still in touch with all of them yet.
The one neighbor that lived next to us on the farm is a guy I go fishing with all the time.
So he moved to Oregon, but we
He
still.
lives in Oregon, but I just buy an Oregon license and we go to Oregon.
No, I'm familiar with that. That's what I have to do too. Used to buy him down at the Adrian, I think, it's the store there, but you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, no. You get at the Wyoming store there now.
Yeah. I'm just, I'm not sure. I think I've kind of run through the questions I had here.
Well, you might know the Pioneer Ditch Company, because that does furnish so much water in town,
Yes.
that it was incorporated in 1909. I think I looked it up.
Wow.
So it has rights before that. Probably, I think you said
The river flow rights.
it was back in the 1860s, about when that was really started. So there was a lot of farm ground at that time. So that's neat to know, because they do furnish so much water in Star.
So your farm was irrigated? Or was it?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna, I know for the camera, they like you looking at me, but anybody else have any other questions that I've missed?
Let's see. I don't know. I mean, since you guys, grew up in the Star area, since it's such kind of a small, was there any fun stories that were shared that people knew about, like whether it's kids getting in trouble, or maybe it was your kids causing the trouble, or was there anything that any fun
Things. I don't remember of any, because so many of them lived there before us, but I don't there.
I can tell you something that wasn't fun.
Uh-oh.
Our daughters, they wanted milk cows. So when we first moved out the farm, I bought them milk and shorthorn so they could have beef and milk together. And that was in the winter of 1972. The coldest winter on record. And in the state of Idaho it was. And the damn milking machine would freeze up every morning. I'd have to go out with a torch and thaw it out so they could go out and milk their cows. But anyway, after that, they wanted to dry them up. And I said, no, can't dry them up. So we made them milk them till they went dry. And never ever wanted to milk another cow.
Yep. And so that became a lot of work for you. It was their cows, but a lot of work for
Well, he was working in town then, so he couldn't. He'd have to go out and do that, and then get in there and get his suit back on so that he could go to work. No, the kids did it. They had to, even when they had a calf, it was cold, and they had to bring baby calf in the house because the barn was so drafty for it. So we had to feed it in the house for a while.
So good was you think it was a good place to raise kids?
I think so. We had been in town, Boise, for maybe a year, and they went to school, but they were they wanted to go out a little bit further at the drive-in, do this and that, walk to here. But in the farm, you knew where your kids were. They had their chores, and then you drove them to their, whatever they had to go to. If they had sports, well, you took them. But you knew where your kids were, and they called you when it was time to come home, or else you were there with them. And so country living is much better to raise kids, 100%. We have grandkids now, we know. It's much better.
And are they nearby?
No. We have one grandson here with his family, but most of them, they've kind of scattered as our families do. A grandson in Texas, and one going to be in Wyoming, and then the others in Oregon. So we're kind of scattered, my family is. Or our family, I should say.
Jack, in all your years of ditch riding, did you come across any interesting landmarks, like perhaps the Oregon Trail or anything else like that you might share with us?
No, not really. On the old farm, we used to pick up a spike once in a while that was out of the old interurban, the old. Mm-hmm. But we'd find them out there on the place once in a while.
So the trolley actually ran through your place out
pretty
there?
Close, right in there, pretty close, yeah.
Was your place across from where Albertsons is now?
No, that was by Dan Sample owned that place. He just moved, but he's the one that's had the Sample farm. They had 100 acres there. Dan did.
So speaking of the interurban line, though, you said you found spikes there. Were the rails still in place out there?
No.
Okay, they'd been taken up by then.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I've just heard stories about it. I'm just curious where I've never seen where it ran in town, so I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Good.
You want to just do the final question?
Okay, so what I'd like to do, though, is because maybe in the course of talking about, there might be things that you would like to share with people, that some memory that we haven't asked you about, or some thought about Star, give you an opportunity to say what you'd like.
Yeah. No, I don't have any more of what you've asked.
This Star was a lot smaller than it is now.
Yeah, it is certainly grown. So, well, thank you very much.
Okay.
And it's nice talking with you, and it's been interesting, and I look forward to see how this all works together with the other interviews.
I'd like to see what everybody else has said. That'll be fun to see that.
They're all different stories, y'all.
Well, I will say there's two things that I have found that have been common to every story so far: mint and
Yes.
pinochle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agree. I noted that much. Yes.
I'm retired military, but for probably 20 years I played pinochle like a madman in the military.
Yeah.
Everybody played pinochle.
Everybody did.
And mink. Mink is another
Mink.
one.
Oh, the mink, yeah,
Mink,
mink's
yeah.
the other one.
Yeah, Herb Quinzer can tell you a lot about that, that's for sure.
Yeah, Herb used to have a mint still.
Messenger.
Him
Our
and his
farm?
brother had
Yeah.
a still, had the distillery
In fact,
Oh,
we're
wow.
right next door
For
to this
mint?
place.
for mint.
Our
Yeah.
place was 6410 was our address.
Never heard of it. I've
When we
never
lived
heard of it.
there.
What was your old
Did
address?
anyone ever tell you
64.
how they actually
64.
process
Great,
mint?
thank
No.
you.
Well, what they do, it grows kind of like hay. And what they do is they go through and they windrow it,
We
get
made
it.
friends after
And then
we
they
bought
come
her
through,
daughter.
it dries a little. Then they
She
come
must
through and
know
chop it, like
She's
chopped
got
hay.
relatives from
Yeah.
the dog.
And then they haul it it goes into a
They're
big
nice
tub.
dogs.
And this tub, then they take it to the distillery and button it up, and they actually cook the mint and just get the oil out of it. And they used to, Herb and his brother had a distillery. The distillery was over on Black Cat, over to his brother's place, over south of Highway 20. And that used to be Highway 20, wasn't Shandon then. But
Max, get over here.
Well, I mean, when you say distillery, do they make alcohol out of
Do you
it?
have a,
No,
Oh, okay.
they make mint oil.
Yeah, mint oil. Okay.
what is
They
your
just
email
they just
address?
cook it
Betha.
and let the water, the steam run through it, and then
Let me go
it
look.
comes out just like a.
I've just had to
Just like
change whether it's
a
55. Is it,
Wow. That's
Because I will send you a
It's
copy
a
of the
fairly
transcript.
profitable
oh, I can't move.
Well,
Rigor mortis.
it was profitable.
I
You
can
get a
get
lot of
that.
money for it, but it costs a lot of money to raise it.
I don't know if it's
there's a lot
Betha
of
F.
labor
It's on my
at
desk.
that
Betha
time.
F.
It was really
55. I
labor
don't know. I
intense.
look at it.
Now
Our
they
still
have sprays
photographer
and
is
stuff
Dave
that they,
McClellan,
don't
and he may
don't
call
take
you
so much to keep
sometime
the
to get
weeds
a
out of it
still
and stuff. But
photograph of you all.
back
at your
then, well,
convenience.
you
Nice
had
guy.
you
He's
go out
helping
there
us
and
with
hoe
the
it,
professional barn
cut the
photos.
weeds out.
See that barn up there?
It
Yes.
just like I said,
We've got a
had a
friend
lot of
that's his
fertilizer.
hobby.
It
And
was
that
pretty
barn was on
labor
Highway
intensive
20.
and
Jack can tell you the
expensive.
name. I can't remember the name of the people.
There was
but he
a
just
subdivision where I live now, and it's a real small subdivision. To the west of us, there were, I don't know,
his family
probably, I'm going to say 50, 70 acres.
had a
And I got to tell you, it's really something waking up at 4 o'clock on a summer morning with a crop duster coming across the field and
Yeah.
going up over your house.
Yeah,
Because they'll do it early morning because the air's not moving. Not much fun to wake up to. It scared the first time I got scared of the G's out of here. This loud engine running right over our house.
yeah, they go low too, don't they?
Oh, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, they do out here over us. Here, farmers behind us.
out here now they have a guy that does most of the crop dust around here, does it with a helicopter, and he just hauls it in here on a big truck with the trailer, and he gets on his helicopter and takes off. And when he gets ready to leave, he sets it back down on his trailer, and gets in the truck, and away he goes. But
Wow.
This is one of them he gave to me.
Well, it's
I've got another one in there.
pretty cool.
He's given us two.
Is he still living?
Well, Jack, thank you very much for your time.
Give
Not a
us his
problem.
phone number?
Yeah.